I tend to lean a bit more undefined risk, but this morning talking about defined risk hedges, they absolutely have a time and a place, and that's what I want to focus on here today. Because if we go to that first slide there, Laura, so our biggest enemy, right? Our biggest enemy is going to be that outlier move. Like our biggest enemy when we sell premium is going to be the move that gets away from us. So it's going to be, if you sold a put on the market open on Friday, I mean, that was a tough trade. Like that was a really, really tough trade where you had to essentially absorb, potentially 1,000 points or more on that move. And so, we're always looking for ways to strategically guard against these types of moves. And this is where defined risk strategies can really help being in your strategic rotation. And that's what I want to talk about here this morning. So Laura, kick us off on the next slide here. So the three things when it comes to selling selling premium, I should say. We want to take advantage of three different distinct advantages: high probability, positive theta, and negative vega. So when we sell premium, we effectively have all three of these working for us. Which of these three do you guys think is the most, like the strongest force of those three? Like which of these three is the most attractive to you guys?
Positive theta for me.
I would say high probability.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
I would have to side with Mike on this one. I would say high probability. I would say high probability as well, because, but I don't necessarily. I mean, Jermal, honestly, right? I mean, this is like saying which one of your three kids do you like the most, right? It's like
don't say it on air. Don't say it on air.
We've all got our favorites, if we're being honest. But the truth is, you can't really pick a winner. Like they're all winners, of course. I think it's high probability because the way I look at it, high probability is actually kind of like it's kind of the unlock that allows everything else into the mix: positive theta, negative vega, and things like that. So the high probability, that's kind of where it starts, and then everything else kind of comes after that. So that's why I tend to side on high probability. But the great thing is, whether you go undefined risk or defined risk, like you're tapping into all three of these guys when it comes to your positions on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, and the thing is for me, like I used to always pay so much. That's why it was like, I want to be positive theta. I want to be positive theta.
That's fair.
That's right.
Yeah, I think when it comes to high probability, and I talked about this too on options in action. When it comes to strike price selection, like it sounds like we're lazy and we don't care. Like when someone's like, "What strike should I pick?" I'm like, "I don't care." It's because like when I look at this chart, as a new trader, you look at the short put and you're like, I have to pick the strike right or else. But as a trader that's had some wins and some losses under his belt, I mean, it's like I pick a strike and I'm just like, I don't really care what strike it is because half the time I'm going to be manipulating it and moving it. So, and that is part of the high probability aspect of short premium is you have that flexibility to literally move your strike, move your expiration, do whatever you need to do to offset some of that risk you're taking on if you're taking it.
That's exactly right. And, with the strike selection, it's gimmies and gotchas, right? It's like, the strike that you choose, it may be high probability, but it may be lower credit. And if you were to bring the strike in, it's going to obviously be lower probability, but higher credit. So you kind of get both sides of the equation. Well, if we look at a short put, like on this slide here, you've got the undefined risk. You've got the unfiltered exposure. Again, most of the time, amazing strategy. It's my number one favorite strategy, but you have to be honest and you have to be true here. Like, on a Friday morning, like last Friday, like this would be a really, really difficult trade to make. But again, you don't know that's going to happen as it's happening, of course. But the thing I want to highlight right here is just look at the potential losses. And you know what's funny too? So I've used this image before in previous segments and I didn't really feel like recreating it. Look at that strike price on the.
That's
SPY.
what I'm looking at, bro.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It was from the 1990s.
Like a year and a half ago. 635, guys. 635.
Wow.
Insane. I know, man. I mean, things have absolutely changed. But obviously the potential losses, right? I mean, they loom large and it's undefined risk for a reason. And so again, you have to know what you're signing up for. But if we go to the next slide, so now what if I do the defined risk version of this? So now I do a short put spread, right? And that's what's great about options and it's great about all the strategies is, with pretty much every single one across the board, you have the undefined risk version and you have the defined risk version. And so again, you can kind of choose your pathway forward through the forest to whatever, best fits your risk tolerance and what you're going for. and whatever. But when it comes to a short put, great strategy, but you are obviously exposed to unlimited losses, effectively unlimited. I understand it's bounded by zero on the downside, but with SPY, it's not going to zero anytime soon. So if I want to define my risk, now I spread this guy off. I choose a short put spread. Now I've got a much cleaner profit loss profile. So now I've got a much cleaner idea of, okay, here's my best case scenario. Here's my worst case scenario. Like, here's if things work out, what's going to happen. Here's if things don't work out, here's what's going to happen. And when it comes to, when we're thinking about hedges, right? Like Mike, like you were talking about using specific strategies to hedge against market movements. One of the things about vertical spreads or most defined risk strategies in general is they actually have a hedging mechanism built into the actual strategy. Because you have the long leg in the strategy, like that obviously kind of bakes in this hedging component to the strategy. You don't have to do anything in addition to that. It's already a quote unquote hedge in a lot of ways. And so when it comes to, people asking about managing defined risk and whatever, it's like, should I cut my losses early? I mean, I'd love to hear what you guys think. I typically don't. Like, I like to size correctly on entry. So if it gets to max loss, it gets to max loss. I don't feel like I need to jump in early and cut this guy off because I've sized it right and it's already quote unquote hedged from the beginning. But what do you guys think about that?
I'm glad we're talking about this out loud. A lot of times I just look at it like I'm paying this premium, it's defined risk, and I'm fine with it, especially if it's, multiple months out. I mean, I guess there's a maybe a limit sometimes. Like if it's something that I put on that's 6 months out, right? And, say I got I actually had this in the personal, and say I had some micro strategies like long call spreads or whatever, and it was like in September and I bought it in March. And after 2 months, it's like, this thing is dog doo-doo and it's not working. I'm out. I'm going to save some money. But if it's like 45-day window, 50-something day window, when I put on a call spread, I'm cool keeping it on. Like, whatever, it is what it is. What about you, Mikey?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think sizing down and allowing yourself to realize the full time frame of the expiration that you've chosen can be, a blessing in disguise. Like, I remember we had an SPX calendar spread on the upside before the war started, and then the war hit. The short call on the calendar spread was worthless, so I bought it back, and I was just left with this long option that was worthless. And then we had that crazy rally to the upside. And I was like, am I in the right account? Like, what is up $1,000 today? And I look and I'm like, oh, wow. Like, this call was literally worthless. And then we got that crazy rally to the upside, and it ended up being like a $300 net winner. And that would have never been the case if I closed it. And same thing with like a put credit spread, like you have on the screen here. If you get a big move to the downside and you're realizing close to max loss, you're not really adding any more risk. Like, you have the position on, and if you get that reversal, you can make back all the value that you are seeing as a loss on the table, and your loser can become a winner. But if your size too big and you're forced to close it, you don't have that ability to realize that if it's going to happen. So I couldn't agree more. I think change the trade size so that you can hold it all through the expiration if you need to, because you just never know what can happen. And this market's crazy. The magnitude of the moves have been crazy. So I don't think you want to stop yourself out of that.
That's exactly right. And I mean, we've talked about this for, I mean, it's been 10 plus years, right? It really truly is all position size, because once you get the position size in check, then you can do whatever you want to do. Like, from that point, if you want to cut it early, cut it early. I mean, I'm kind of saying I don't. Jermal's kind of saying he doesn't. Like, we're all kind of saying, yeah, you don't really maybe want to consider that. But if you want to do that, then go for it. But the key is you got to be sized right such that you have that flexibility to kind of do whatever you want to do moving forward. And the other thing I wanted to point out here is obviously it's gimmies and gotchas, right? So we've got the gotcha with undefined risk of the unlimited potential losses, which is a fairly sizable one, of course. But you get much higher probability. You have unfiltered exposure to the Greeks that are far easier to adjust. If you define your risk like what we see here on the slide, notice the probability of profit is lower. The theta is essentially negligible. And so these are important trade-offs that I think everybody has to understand, that if you're going to play the defined risk game, which again, I mean, that's an important game that we're all going to play from time to time, if not even have it be, the lion's share of what you're doing, you have to understand what you're giving up. And you're giving up probability, you're giving up theta, and you're even giving up, delta impacts, you're giving up vega impacts. Like, there's going to be a watering down effect across the board.